In Brewster, New York, junior Amelia Cuomo shares her experience living with two COVID-positive siblings in a family of 6. Her brother Grant, a sophomore at Princeton, was the first to test positive.
So when my brother first came home, the first night that we noticed anything, he just kind of had a typical fever, and that came with like your chills and sweats. Um, and then after like 2 or 3 days, he started telling us that he couldn't smell anything and he couldn't taste anything. Yeah. And like that was the day that he started feeling that was about the same day that the CDC put out the information that that was one of the symptoms of the virus. And so we were like, oh my gosh, really? And then he started to develop more congestion and like mild cough.
After waiting 1 week to get Grant's results back, the entire family got tested as they feared for Amelia's sister, Florence, who has asthma.
That time period when he got his results back coincided with when things got really bad in New York, and like the state shot up to like over 100,000 cases. And so they started to really buckle down. And so we were able to call in, and we were like, well, none of us even have symptoms yet. And they're like, okay, get tested. They didn't ask questions. They just, yeah. So we went the next day. They had this really crazy operation set up at the Danbury Hospital where they wouldn't even let you like near the hospital. They had like cleared out the parking garage, and it was like a drive-through. People were coming in, and then they were just administered it. You roll down your windows, they give you the test, and then they like have you roll up your windows and drive away. They take what is essentially like a very like thin, small pipe cleaner of sorts, and they shove it up your nose until you cough. Like it hurts. It's got to be like 6 or 7 inches of it goes in your nose. It's so painful. And so that's what they were doing. Like all these people were coming over with their PPE. They had the little like pipe cleaner, and you'd roll down the window and they'd be like, all right, tilt your head back. And you had to tilt your head back, and they'd be like, inhale, and they'd shove it up one nostril, and you just had to wait. You just had to wait until it was all the way in there, and then they'd take it out, and then they had to do the other one.
48 hours later, Florence was the only one who tested positive. She shares her experience with the virus.
But it actually didn't affect my respiratory system at all. And the symptoms that I had were not your typical symptoms either. Like I never had a fever, I never had a cough, I never had congestion. I had sensitivity to light, muscle fatigue, and like dizziness, and I was just really weak. So I wouldn't have even gotten tests. Like I wouldn't have ever thought that was the coronavirus if I hadn't tested positive. And then I self-quarantined in my basement. I just lived in the basement for like a week and just kind of hung out there alone. And then my symptoms went away and I was fine. I was super lucky, especially because of the asthma, but I ended up being completely fine.
Despite being quarantined for a week in the basement, Florence kept her sense of humor. In Raleigh, I'm Marina Leah, Carolina Week.